Former President Trump easily outpaces Florida Governor Ron DeSantis in a hypothetical GOP New Hampshire primary matchup, according to a new survey. An Emerson College poll released Tuesday showed Trump leading among a group of possible Republican candidates with a whopping 58% of the vote in the early primary state. DeSantis came in second with 17%, followed by New Hampshire Governor Chris Sununu with 7%, and former ambassador to the United Nations Nikki Haley at 6%. Spencer Kimball, the executive director of Emerson College Polling, said in a release that Trump's base comes from younger voters, with 2/3 of GOP primary voters under 35 supporting him. He said DeSantis has a base on the national level with voters 65 and older and those with higher levels of education, but those numbers are not showing up in the New Hampshire poll. Kimball said Sununu, who served as the state's governor since 2017 and has a 64% approval rating among Republican primary voters, was unable to pass 10% support among any demographic when part of the primary field. Pollsters found that Trump also has a large lead among just the candidates who have officially launched their candidacies, which includes Haley and conservative entrepreneur Vivek. I don't know how to pronounce this guy's last name. With the field limited to just them, Trump received support from 73% of respondents, while Haley had 20% and the other person had 7%, the Vivek person. The poll follows others that have indicated Trump is in a strong position. Emerson's survey from late last month showed the former president with 55% support nationally, 30% ahead of DeSantis. A Roanoke College poll from last week had Trump leading DeSantis by 11 points in Virginia. In the most recent Emerson survey, pollsters found that President Biden leads Trump in a new hypothetical New Hampshire matchup by 4 points, 42% to 38%. Biden leads DeSantis by 5 points, but he trails Sununu by 8 points in his home state. Sununu has said he is considering making a run for the Republican nomination 2024 and that he does not expect Trump to be the nominee. I don't know how you don't when Trump is getting 60 and 70% of the vote in these, whatever. So, the biggest takeaway from this poll, because it is just for New Hampshire, it's not, the whole country. Biggest takeaway from it is that DeSantis's claim to fame as the person who is getting the most support besides Trump still stands, but it's shrunk. I saw polls where DeSantis in the months leading up to now, he was 10 points behind, 15 points behind. Now he's over 30 points behind. And at CPAC, he was able to get, 20% of the vote, even though Trump had 63. The writing is on the wall. DeSantis either should get in now and try to work his way back up and actually attack Trump over the various differences that they have and weaknesses that he can exploit, or he shouldn't even bother. He's just stay out of the race, like Sarah Palin suggested, and be governor for the next 3 years, and then I guess hope and pray that Trump doesn't win this time so he can run in, or well, even if he does, either way, like just wait until 2028, because these results are not good for anyone besides Trump. It's very rare that you see a race where someone is leading by, sometimes it's like 10 points, 20 points, 30, 40 points. Trump has 58% of the vote in this poll. And Haley, who is the other big name major contender, is only at 6%. And then when you get rid of DeSantis, because I said before that her and DeSantis would like mess with each other and they would make it to where, that anti-Trump vote doesn't have anyone to go to. Even with him not in the race, with this other part of the poll, she has 20%, which is her best ever. Like I haven't seen anything where she's cracked more than a single digit of support. So 20% is good for her as things stand. But then you look at Trump having a 73% lead, or excuse me, being at 73%, over 50% lead. And it's like, what are you guys even doing here? I really am not someone who likes to make forecasts about Trump will be the nominee, because I said before, we're a year away from the actual voting. There's a lot of people that could get in. There's a lot of things that could happen in the year. But as things currently stand, Trump is going to be the Republican nominee next year. And Kellyanne Conway was right. It was a fool's errand to count him out when he has this extremely strong base of support. He's running against people who don't want to either directly criticize him or differentiate themselves from him. Because I said before, if Haley and DeSantis were smart, they would acknowledge the fact that there's going to be some segment of Trump's supporters that they can't pull away any support from. But if they make a compelling case of, hey, look, I get that you like him, but he lost last time. He was only able to pass one major bill when he was in office because he couldn't get the Republicans to side with him on anything. You even had secular talk that was mentioning how if DeSantis was intelligent, he would mention that Trump passed the First Step Act, and that this was like him being weak on crime, whereas DeSantis wants to like look strong on the issue. So really, you have a group of candidates who have no legitimate base of support themselves, and they're all effectively crabs in a barrel, and they have this giant elephant in the room that's hovering over them in Trump that they don't want to take a direct shot at because they're afraid that it's going to backfire and cause them to do even worse. But really, what I'm conveying here is that being president, in my opinion, and it doesn't have to be that, just being someone who wants to win a race, and especially if you're trying to be an elected official, it means having leadership qualities. It means taking risk, and they're still playing it safe. They're still giving their little, speeches about getting rid of woke ideology and this person's a socialist and they're trying to take away our right. All this random goofy crap about Democrats, liberals, progressives, socialists, all these little terms they throw around. But as far as actually going after their major, you had Haley talking about she doesn't kick sideways. You better, if you want to be the nominee, that's what you do when you're in a race. You have to, if your opponent is leading you by 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 points, if you don't say anything, you're not going to win. Because Trump has higher name recognition than any of the people in this race, including DeSantis. I mean, that's just a fact. Trump's been famous for 40 years. So he's already someone that's going to get automatic support based off of people knowing who he is. But it's like the rest of them really sit here and they don't think they need to be more aggressive. And that's why they're going to lose. Like they're going to get smushed. And they are getting smushed. And DeSantis is the saddest example because this poll shows that if he doesn't get in this race, the chances of Trump losing are pretty much you could argue are slightly better if he's not there, because that 20% that Haley was able to get, where it was just her, Trump, and the other person, Vivek or whatever his name is, that those are people who are part of the anti-Trump group. However small they may be, they're going to go to her and help her boost herself. And I just don't think DeSantis, if he campaigns as Trump light, will be able to make the difference. So this poll's really instructive because it's just showing the Republicans are a party where there's people who sometimes, they're decent as far as making a case for why you should vote for them over Trump. But the majority of the actual voter base is devoted to him. And the majority of the other politicians, including the ones that are jockeying for the same position as Trump currently, are afraid of him. So they're getting what they deserve. And it's not something, I don't like the idea of Trump winning the primary and then there's an automatic 50% chance of him being president again. But these Republicans they are showing every single day, and probably going to do this until we get to the voting next year, that they just don't have what it takes to put him down. And it's very unfortunate because he is a very vulnerable candidate who I think, if the people running against him just had a little bit of concern. And it's even more pathetic when you consider that, like, you look at Haley, if she doesn't win this race, what is she going to go back to? She's not going to be UN ambassador again. She's not going to be governor of South Carolina again. So what do you have to lose by going all in? Treat it like it's your last campaign, because effectively, if you lose, it will be your last run. DeSantis is the same thing. He's been a congressman. He's in his second term as governor. And if he doesn't run in this race or win this race, I guess maybe he could run in 2028. But it's like, remember, a lot of times 4 years later, a person's advantages or their support evaporates. Don't forget, what was it? Santorum came in second place in 2012. He was the nominee in 2016. Cruz came in second place in 2016. No one's saying he's their number one pick for this year, which is a big part of the reason why he's not running. So, DeSantis basically I just think is too afraid of Trump to seize a very good opportunity here to actually further his career. And it's sad because these people want you to believe that they're leaders, but they stand for nothing. And that's why they're getting creamed in New Hampshire and all across the world, all across the U.S.